Okay, let's unpack this. We all know the ritual.
Oh, yeah. January 1st.
Exactly. The calendar flips, there's that electric feeling of a fresh start, and we write down those monumental goals.
The big ones.
The career change, the massive fitness benchmark, the promise to truly commit to a skill. We approach them with absolute, burning enthusiasm. We feel that rush of motivation.
And that rush is so seductive. I mean, it feels like it's going to last forever in that moment. It feels necessary.
It does, but almost without fail, the script repeats itself.
Every single time.
That initial energy just fades. The highly specific workout plan becomes a memory, and then, by the time December rolls around, we're left staring at the same goals, consumed by that familiar and frankly painful regret over the year that slipped away.
And you shared some material that really pushes back on that standard narrative, the one that just blames this failure on a simple lack of discipline or laziness.
That's what resonated with me the most. The central argument here is, well, it's pretty radical. The reason most of us fail to achieve our objectives isn't a deficiency in character or interests.
It's not a moral failing.
Not at all. It's a fundamental failure of goal design. We rely on motivation, which is, it's inherently volatile, instead of infrastructure, which is reliable.
What's truly fascinating is realizing that the secret to sustained achievement, whether we're talking about massive professional growth or hitting a major fitness milestone or even just maintaining a fulfilling relationship, it isn't found in constantly searching for more willpower.
Right. It's not about just trying harder.
No. It lies in building robust, self-propelling systems. You need to stop being the engine and start being the engineer who builds the engine.
So our mission today is ambitious. We're taking a truly deep dive into this, the mechanics of success. We're going to explore some historical and modern blueprints that prove infrastructure always beats brute force.
And then we'll get into the psychology of it, the landmines in our own brains that are actively, sabotaging our long-term efforts.
Exactly. And then we'll provide the 3 fundamental design steps and the 4 essential pillars required to construct a reliable system. This isn't just theory. It's about engineering a process that eventually becomes an automated, subconscious imprint that just guides you toward achievement.
It's about moving beyond just wishing for a different future and, actively architecting the mechanism that delivers it.
I want to start with a story, a really dramatic, almost cinematic moment that I think perfectly illustrates the raw power of a system over sheer willpower. And that's the Iron Man analogy. It grounds this abstract concept in something intensely practical.
Okay, so let's set the stage. We're in 2008. Tony Stark, he's a genius billionaire industrialist.
Right.
And he's captured in a cave in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
He's injured, he's isolated, and he's given one command.
Yeah.
And build a devastating weapon for his captors. His immediate, desperate life or death objective is just survival, escape.
Now, a conventional hero, they might rely on trickery or cunning or maybe just a sudden burst of physical strength to simply break free. But Stark is a systems thinker.
He is.
He doesn't just walk out. He uses the limited resources around him, scraps, tools, his own knowledge, to build the Marca armor.
And that suit is the perfect distilled representation of a system. I mean, think about it. It's a sophisticated mechanism specifically engineered to overcome every single obstacle in his path.
Everything.
It provides power, flight, protection, weaponry. The goal, escape, was the destination, right? But the system, the powered armor, was the vehicle designed to make that goal. Well, inevitable.
It transferred the immense effort of surviving a hostile environment from his fragile human body to an automated mechanical apparatus. It did the work for him.
And the material we looked at points out that this isn't just some fictional concept. This is the universal blueprint for nearly all successful human growth. We don't achieve large-scale objectives through individual heroism or brute willpower.
No, we build things.
We build things. We achieve them by creating automated machinery that handles the execution for us.
Absolutely. Think about the Wright brothers. Their objective was monumental, achieving sustained, controlled flight. They didn't just stand on a hill and, rely on the maximum effort of their legs to jump higher.
Right, they didn't just flap their arms harder.
Exactly. They systematically designed, tested, and iterated upon the aircraft, the mechanism which was specifically built to conquer gravity on their behalf. The aircraft was the operating system for flight.
Or look at the massive modern systems we rely on every single day.
Right.
Mark Zuckerberg and the early goal of Facebook was, what? Connecting people and delivering content that holds their interest.
Right.
Now, imagine if they had to manually check every user's preferences and deliver content by hand. The effort would be, I mean, it's impossible to scale.
Completely impossible.
So he built the mechanism, the algorithm, that piece of infrastructure automatically gathers user data, it processes preferences, and it delivers personalized content on a loop. It's a self-regulating, autonomous system that achieves the goal of engagement without requiring constant manual human willpower.
The algorithm is the system.
The algorithm is the system that delivers the goal.
And the common thread here, whether we're talking in 1903 Ohio or 2004 California, is that transfer of enormous repetitive effort from fragile human motivation to automated, self-sustaining machinery.
We built schools as the system for disseminating knowledge. We established the entire logistics network as the system for reliable transport. Restaurants are systems for getting good food.
Right. And this leads us to what the source material calls the personal application gap, which is, it's a surprising conclusion.
It really is.
Because humanity intrinsically understands this truth for external large-scale growth. I mean, we trust our lives to systems like air traffic control and financial markets.
We do.
Yet, when we approach our personal lives, we completely abandon this logic.
That's the part that needs reflection. We know how to design a multi-billion-dollar algorithm that optimizes engagement for billions of people.
Right.
But when we approach our own job search, we rely on vague intentions. I'll send out some resumes this week. Or just these bursts of energy. We don't design a structured, proactive mechanism for application tracking, for networking, for interview prep.
It's a failure of personal goal design.
And we often define the goal poorly to begin with. A badly designed goal is typically outcome-focused, it's highly variable, it lacks any kind of feedback loop.
And it relies entirely on external volatile rewards like feeling motivated.
Exactly. The goal, I want to be happier in my relationship, is, well, it's flawed. Because happiness is an outcome, it's not a control variable you can just turn up.
Right. So if you have that goal, maintaining happiness during relationship struggles, but you lack a system, let's say a protocol for weekly check-ins or a defined communication rule for arguments.
But you're going to fail when difficulty hits.
You will. You're trying to paddle across the ocean with your bare hands, just hoping sheer effort is going to beat the tide.
The robust system, on the other hand, is the defined process. It's the neural blueprint that automatically navigates you toward the objective, even when external conditions like stress or low motivation are unfavorable. The biggest reason for personal disappointment is not laziness.
It's the sheer lack of a robust, proactive system. And that leads us directly to the internal sabotage. Why do we keep setting these flawed, motivation-dependent goals?
Well, it turns out our brains are actively working against the long-term, slow-burn success that systems require.
So before we move to the solution, let's just acknowledge the scale of this problem. The source material references a pretty powerful 2020 study by some Swedish researchers, Martin and Karlborg.
Right.
They tracked 166 participants who set New Year's resolutions, and they basically wanted to measure the half-life of their commitment.
And the data. I mean, it provides a chilling reality check for anyone who's relying on that New Year's motivation. They found that a staggering 77% of these people quit their goals within just the first 4 weeks.
4 weeks. That's it. That huge burst of January enthusiasm is incredibly fragile and fleeting.
And the attrition doesn't stop there. Of the small group that actually made it through those initial weeks, 55% of them gave up after only one more month.
Wow.
So by the end of the year, the number of people still consistently working towards their original resolutions was a mere 19%.
And this defines what the material calls the regret cycle. We set these goals in this frenzied emotional reaction to the guilt of the previous year's failure, right? We're seeking to overcome that regret with a giant surge of motivation.
But because the foundation is emotional, it's guilt, it's enthusiasm, and not structural, not a reliable system, the effort collapses, which leads us right back to failure and a fresh cycle of regret next January.
Okay, so if the problem isn't inherent laziness, we need to understand the psychological mechanisms that cause this collapse. Let's dig into brain error number 1. Hype drop, or the dopamine decline.
Right. So this centers on dopamine, which is, it's much more than just the simple happy chemical. Dopamine is the chemical of anticipation and reward reinforcement.
So it's about wanting, not just liking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Its primary function is to create a positive reinforcement loop, encouraging you to repeat behaviors that are critical for survival. And in our modern context, anything that feels rewarding.
It's the little voice in your brain that says, do that again.
Precisely. Think about enjoying a new video game or a new song. You play it constantly. Your brain releases a flood of dopamine, reinforcing that behavior. But if you keep playing that one game or listening to that one song, something happens.
They lose their magic. We don't play those childhood favorites anymore, even if we still have the time. We seek novelty somewhere else.
And this is the core issue of habituation. The sustained effort or repetition of any specific activity causes the brain to desensitize to it. The neural response to a predictable reward just diminishes.
So you get less of a reward for the same amount of effort.
Right, which means the dopamine level for that specific action starts to drop. The brain requires either greater effort, greater complexity, or greater expense to achieve the same reward or satisfaction it got initially.
This is why, as the sources suggest, someone might move from needing one cigarette to needing two. Or they shift from simple mobile games to these complex, high-graphics console games.
Yes, the brain demands an escalation of reward input because the old stimulus just doesn't provide the necessary dopamine hit anymore.
And here's the paradox that derails our goals. For pleasure activities, we intuitively understand this escalation, and we easily increase the effort or the cost. We buy the more expensive games, we increase the substance intake.
But when it comes to long-term goals like fitness, or learning to code, or disciplined reading, when that initial dopamine high, the hype, drops, and the activity stops being immediately rewarding,
We quit.
we quit altogether. Instead of increasing the effort level to push through the resistance, we just stop.
That makes absolutely no sense strategically, but it's entirely rooted in our brain's chemical response. We treat these effort-based goals like pleasure-based activities, expecting constant novelty and reward, and when that doesn't arrive, we just walk away.
And the fitness industry provides the perfect statistical confirmation for this. Every January, gym subscriptions surge by about 12.5%. Everyone's riding that hype of regret and novelty.
Oh yeah, you can't get a machine for the whole month.
Not at all. But within just 5 months, the vast majority, we're talking 80%, have stopped showing up. When the soreness and the routine set in and the initial results haven't materialized, they don't increase their intensity.
They just stop voting for that identity they claimed on January 1st. So if that initial hype is biologically designed to drop, why don't we have the patience to stick around for the long-term delayed rewards?
Well, that brings us to brain error number 2. Sonic happiness or the quick fix trap.
Sonic happiness. Tell me about that.
We use this term to represent the brain's hardwired evolutionary preference for quick, temporary satisfaction over delayed, long-lasting benefit.
Oh, okay.
Evolutionarily, it was vital for survival to grab the immediate high-calorie meal right in front of you, rather than waiting for some future uncertain opportunity.
Sure, the bird in the hand.
Exactly. And that instinct is still incredibly powerful today. Going to the gym for 6 months will eventually lead to a toned body, better health, long-term well-being, a profound reward, but it's months away.
Right, compare that to the instant, intense satisfaction from eating a creamy chocolate waffle, which hits the reward center immediately.
And the brain, which has been trained for millennia to prioritize the present, chooses the instant hit every time.
And here's the crucial modern link, right? Contemporary society and convenience technology are systematically reinforcing this immediate gratification pattern. They're strengthening our brain's preference for the quick fix and actively degrading our ability to sustain effort.
It's a continuous, invisible training regimen.
It is. Think about it. When was the last time you had to physically wait for information? Search engines deliver it instantly. If we need supplies, online deliveries can handle it within the hour.
If we need a ride, we instantly book an Ola or an Uber. The time spent just waiting for a taxi is now seen as unacceptable friction.
And if we have a free moment, we fill it by doom-scrolling endless reels for a constant supply of immediate, low-effort entertainment.
These technologies, while they're beneficial in many ways, they condition our brains to have zero tolerance for waiting or friction. We are physically weakening the patience muscle, which is absolutely critical for achieving any long-term goal.
The research cited on this is alarming. 70% of people feel actively negative, annoyed, or frustrated when they have to wait for something.
I realized this truth about myself when I was trying to learn a new programming language. I'd spend, 2 hours wrestling with some complex function, and when I finally solved it, instead of starting the next one,
You take a break.
I'd take a break and immediately jump into watching viral dog videos. My brain demanded that quick, low-effort dopamine spike right after the heavy lift. That was my sonic happiness demanding payment.
That's a perfect illustration, and the patient's crisis is measured down to the second. Studies show frustration sets in after just 16 seconds of a web page loading.
16 seconds feels like an eternity now.
It does, and people start getting actively angry and impatient after waiting 25 seconds at a traffic signal.
So if we are trained to become annoyed or angry waiting just 25 seconds for a traffic light to change, how can we possibly expect to maintain the consistency and persistence required for a massive career shift or a major fitness goal?
A goal that requires sustained, non-rewarding effort over months, possibly years.
Low patience makes consistency fundamentally impossible when you're facing the inevitable challenges, the setbacks, and, crucially, the lack of immediate gratification that every meaningful long-term goal entails.
We are structurally set up for failure. We must therefore introduce a system, an automated mechanism that compels us to work, even when the brain is craving that quick fix or the hype has completely dropped off.
So we've established the problem.
Yeah.
Flawed goal design combined with brain chemistry that promotes quitting and short-term pleasure. Now let's define the solution precisely.
Right. We've been using this analogy of a system as a vehicle, but let's deepen that definition using the life of pi analogy.
Okay. Imagine you are pi, you're adrift in the middle of the ocean, you know your destination, that's the goal.
Yeah.
You exert maximum effort, paddling with your bare hands. This is sheer effort. You exhaust yourself, you burn out, and you barely move an inch. That is goal chasing without a system.
It's intense, high energy, and ultimately completely unsustainable.
Now, you find a paddle. The paddle is a simple tool, a basic system. Your effort is instantly magnified, your speed doubles, your energy expenditure is manageable. Then you discover that the boat is fitted with an outboard motor, a complex system. Once you turn that on, the progress accelerates dramatically, requiring only maintenance effort, not brute force.
So the difference is profound. Sheer effort is your hands paddling. The system is the paddle, or even better, the motor. It's the invisible engine that propels you reliably toward your destination, regardless of the wind or the tide.
The goal is the destination. The system is the infrastructure that provides the progress.
And we really must clarify that a system in this context is much more than just a rigid routine or those well-meaning but, vague suggestions we were given growing up.
Right, like work hard, study early, never give up.
Those are just suggestions for behavior. A system is an architecture for automation.
So, if it's not suggestions or strict rules, what is the true physiological nature of a system that we're actually trying to build?
The true nature of a power system is that it creates subconscious imprints. It's a neural blueprint that operates on autopilot. It is not structure written on a piece of paper. It is deep, reliable brain wiring.
And we have tasks assigned to our subconscious from birth, right? Breathing, our heartbeat, managing digestion. We don't consciously decide to perform these tasks. They just run automatically in the background.
But critically, we also have thousands of tasks that we, the user, have assigned to our subconscious through consistent repetition.
Muscle memory or heuristic thinking.
Exactly. Think about tying your shoelaces without looking, or driving a car while simultaneously having a complex conversation, or even just brushing your teeth without consciously detailing every single stroke of the toothbrush.
Those were all learned behaviors that required conscious effort initially. But through consistency, the effort faded away and they became automatic. They became subconscious imprints.
Precisely. A system is defined as a consistent automated practice that the subconscious brain handles to achieve a target. The system of driving, for instance, handles the mechanics of navigation and speed reduction, which allows your conscious mind to focus on, say, talking on the phone.
The consistency of the action creates new neural pathways that reduce the activation energy required to start and sustain the behavior.
And that's the key realization we have to internalize. If we can assign essential but low-stakes tasks like tying our laces and driving to the power of the subconscious, why are we still demanding that our conscious willpower handle our life's biggest goals?
Things like fitness mastery, learning expertise, or business growth.
Right. Once a reliable system is successfully embedded as a subconscious imprint, it just functions irrespective of your mood. Your motivation can drop to zero, your discipline can be completely exhausted.
But this system continues to run in the background. The core question shifts from how do I motivate myself to work to what automated systems should I design behind the goal that ensures consistent growth even when I face inevitable failure.
Now we get to move into the actual engineering process. This is the blueprint for turning a fragile wish into an automated achievement mechanism. And it begins with step one, the identity shift.
This is so important. Most people focus exclusively on the outcome, the goal. The system approach demands a radical reorientation.
Yeah.
You have to focus on the type of person you must become for that outcome to be a natural, inevitable result.
So the goal is just a consequence. It's a byproduct of your identity.
Exactly.
I was fascinated by the material's take on the J.K. Rowling narrative. She was a single mother, rejected by 12 different publishers for the first Harry Potter book. If her only goal was to publish a best-selling book, that massive string of rejection should have been crippling.
It would have been devastating.
Yeah.
But she kept writing daily. She maintained her consistency despite enormous external failure because her fundamental identity was, I am a writer.
Right.
The daily act of writing wasn't some chore she did to achieve a goal. It was simply a necessary function of who she already was.
This aligns perfectly with James Clear's framework. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Every time she sat down and wrote, she cast a vote for her identity as a writer.
And every time you skip a workout, you are casting a vote for the identity of an inconsistent person.
We can see the psychological power of this commitment in what the source calls the smoker test. Imagine we offer a cigarette to two people trying to quit.
Okay.
The first one says, "No, thank you, I'm trying to quit." This person's identity is still aligned with their past, a smoker struggling to change, and they're using fragile willpower to fight that old self.
The second person says, no thank you, I am not a smoker.
That's an identity shift.
It is. They are aligned with their future self. The temptation becomes irrelevant because it contradicts the fundamental nature of who they now are. They've changed the operating system.
And in a high-stakes arena, you can look at someone like Sachin Tendulkar. His system, even from childhood, was focused entirely on the daily practice, the technical mastery, the concentration on the game.
He ignored all the external noise and pressure because his identity was clear. I am a cricketer. That consistent system, powered by that identity, became his entire career.
So the immediate actionable reframing for you, the listener, is to shift from external wants to internal being. Stop saying, I want to be fit.
And start stating, I am consistent in my workouts.
Stop wishing, I want to be wealthy.
Start defining, I am a disciplined investor. Once you shift the identity, the actions required cease to be optional chores. They become necessary functions of who you are.
Okay, so step 2 focuses on moving past these vague dreams. It's called structure your wishes. This is where we turn that new identity into an actual execution map.
The material wisely reminds us that we already have a functional blueprint for this, and it's the old school exam routine.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
Right.
Yeah.
Think back to a few days before a massive final exam. Panic might set in, but out of that panic, a perfect temporary system is born.
We didn't just panic, though. We executed a structured plan. We set a precise schedule: 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., math, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., science.
We planned the exact break times, the specific chapters to cover, how many revision topics were mandatory. We created a chart and posted it on the wall.
And that structure, that clarity on what to do, when to do it, and how to measure progress, allowed us to achieve the goal of passing the exam, often without needing external motivation. The structure itself just compelled us forward.
It was our first effective operating system.
Yet, we rarely apply that same rigor to our adult life goals. Most people only have wishes. I want a better job. I want to start a side business, which are just emotion-driven desires with zero execution map. They're highly volatile.
We have to convert that wish into a defined structure. The source details 4 non-negotiable components required to structure any effective goal: the target, the outcome, the deadline, and the actions.
Let's use the elite fitness example of Virat Kohli, an athlete known for extreme discipline. His wish was not just, I want to be fit. His structure was crystal clear: the target, elite athlete level fitness and performance.
Okay, so what was the outcome?
The outcome was a measurable 8% body fat percentage, plus specific stamina metrics for 90-minute matches. The deadline was the 2016 World Cup.
And the actions.
The actions: a daily personalized diet plan, non-negotiable morning strength gym sessions, dedicated evening cardio, meticulous 8-hour sleep tracking, and monthly body composition tests.
Notice the specificity there. The goal isn't just a hopeful direction. It's a detailed, iterative work plan powered by the underlying identity of, I am an elite athlete.
Now, let's apply that same structure to a knowledge-based career shift, say becoming a data scientist. The wish is, I want to switch careers.
Okay, so the structure. Target: a data scientist role at a reputable product company. Outcome: a documented job offer with a starting package of, say, 1 lakh per annum or the local equivalent.
The deadline: 12 months from today.
Yeah.
And the action plan. First 3 months, complete specific online courses, Python, SQL. Months 4 to 6, create 3 comprehensive client-facing portfolio projects.
Okay, so that's the building phase.
Yeah.
Then what?
Then months 7 to 9, you begin the application system. You aim for 5 quality applications per week. You do weekly LinkedIn thought leadership posts and monthly mock interviews.
The power of this structure is that the actions are specific, they're measurable, and they're time-bound. It just eliminates ambiguity. The identity shift defined who you're becoming.
And this structure tells you the exact what and when required to become that person. And finally, we move to the true engine of automation. Step 3, implementing the 4 pillars of an unbreakable system.
This is the internal machinery that runs the process. Just like Tony Stark had to design the arc reactor, the propulsion system, and the weapons interface, a successful personal system relies on 4 foundational, interconnected pillars working constantly in unison.
So, pillar 1, trigger engineering. This pillar is about eliminating our reliance on conscious motivation for starting an action. We are designing an automatic, immediate signal for action, bypassing that internal debate altogether.
When you rely on motivation, you have to consciously initiate the effort every single time. You ask yourself, do I feel like going to the gym today? Trigger engineering eliminates that question.
Right, and the source mentions a powerful 2001 study by British researchers. They had 248 people, and they were comparing general intent with specific planning.
Okay.
So Group A was simply told to exercise regularly. Group B was instructed to formulate a plan deciding the exact time and place they would exercise. This is called an implementation intention.
And the result was staggering. Group B, the ones who set the specific time and place, the trigger, they achieved 91% consistency.
91%.
Group A, the control group relying on general intent and motivation, achieved only 38% consistency. The trigger, that automatic situational signal, is the key difference between success and failure.
So we need to hijack our brain's existing automaticity. I mean, when your phone vibrates, you automatically check it. We need to create that same level of automatic response for productive behavior.
And the formula for designing an effective trigger is critical. When trigger happens, I will immediately do action. So instead of the vague, I will work on my portfolio later today.
You engineer a trigger. When I arrive home and take off my shoes, I will open my coding project for 10 minutes.
Triggers can be time-based, like 7 p.m. signals workout time. They can be location-based, like arrival at the desk, triggers opening the learning application. Or, as the source emphasizes, they can be action-based, which we call habit stacking.
And habit stacking is the most powerful method because it leverages an existing, already automated subconscious imprint to pull a new desired action into the automatic workflow.
Exactly. Brushing your teeth is automatic, making coffee is automatic. We attach the new habit to the fixed automatic one, minimizing the need for willpower entirely.
For example, after I finish my first cup of coffee, I will write 500 words.
Or, after I close my work laptop for the evening, I will spend 15 minutes reviewing my language learning flashcards.
The established neural pathway of that fixed habit acts like a tow truck, just pulling the new habit along. Your brain doesn't argue because the sequence is treated as a single, multi-step action.
Coffee is done, writing is next. You completely bypass the internal negotiation that drains all your willpower.
Okay, so that brings us to pillar 2, action minimization. This pillar directly tackles the problem of hype drop and the exhaustion of willpower.
Right. The common mistake in goal design is setting the initial action required way too large, which makes it incredibly easy to skip, especially when your motivation is low.
So if your system dictates, I must work out for 1 hour every day, that hour feels like an insurmountable mountain after an exhausting day.
The system breaks because the required energy expenditure is just too high. The goal of action minimization is to shrink the required starting action so small that doing it feels psychologically easier than skipping it entirely.
This is the minimum viable action concept. We are talking about reading 1 paragraph of the professional text.
Just one.
Or putting on your gym clothes and doing just 5 push-ups. Or spending 10 minutes researching a business idea. Why does this tiny action work so well?
It's the psychology of activation energy. Think of it using a simple physics analogy. If you have a massive, heavy box, the hardest part is that initial push required to overcome static friction and get it moving.
Right.
Once the box is in motion, maintaining that momentum requires significantly less force. The same is true for the brain.
Starting is the hardest part. It requires the highest activation energy. Once you overcome that initial inertia, the brain naturally seeks continuation. It hates unfinished loops.
Think about sitting down for a Netflix binge. You overcame the inertia to sit down and watch one episode, but then the brain immediately drives you to finish the next, and the next, and the next.
It's the same principle. If your minimum action is simply putting on the gym wear and doing 5 push-ups, you have already started the physical process. You've overcome the activation energy required to change your state from rest to motion.
And you are extremely unlikely to stop after just 5 push-ups. You will likely flow into 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or maybe more.
And this small, crucial action is your ultimate consistency strategy. The source stresses that if motivation is completely exhausted or time is acutely tight, you must revert to the minimum action.
2 minutes of meditation instead of 20. Reading 1 page instead of a whole chapter.
The goal here is not intensity. The goal is unbroken consistency. You maintain the chain.
Intensity can drop, but the system must never completely stop functioning. By maintaining this minimum action, you ensure the subconscious imprint remains active and ready to scale back up when conditions improve.
Okay, pillar 3, instant reward loop. We established that the modern brain is hijacked by sonic happiness, that preference for quick, temporary dopamine hits. This pillar is about deliberately hacking that preference.
Right, by connecting immediate, small rewards to the completion of our system actions. We need to give the brain that instant dopamine hit for doing the hard, long-term work.
Since gym results take months and business success can take years, we have to artificially insert a reliable, small, immediate reward right after completing the system's action. This trains the brain to repeat the action because it anticipates that immediate, satisfying reward.
The famous example is the Jerry Seinfeld method, the don't break the chain technique, which is a perfect system implementation.
Right. His long-term goal was being a better comedian by writing jokes daily.
And his system involved using a physical wall calendar, and every single day he completed his joke writing quota, he marked that day with a huge, visible red X.
So the act of writing was the effort for the long-term goal. The immediate reward was the simple, reliable satisfaction of marking that X on the calendar.
That visual confirmation, the completion of the ritual, that's the immediate dopamine release. The primary psychological shift is that the new goal is no longer just write jokes. The new goal becomes don't break the chain of red X's.
The system itself, the consistency, becomes the primary reward.
So to implement this, you have to create a visible tracking method. Use a dedicated wall calendar, a journal, a tick sheet, a habit tracker application. When you complete your minimum action, even if it was just 10 minutes of research, you visually tick that accomplishment immediately.
And this can also be internalized. If you can't use a physical tracker, create a brief self-celebration ritual, a mental high five, looking in the mirror and smiling.
Or allowing yourself exactly 30 seconds of listening to your favorite song. This trains the brain instantly.
This small, immediate act of celebration signals to your reward center that the successful completion of the action resulted in dopamine. The brain learns. Action leads to reward. Repeat action.
And this is how you slowly convert an effort-intensive behavior into an automatic, rewarding habit. The subconscious imprint just grows stronger with every single tick.
And finally, pillar 4, the failure-proof safety net. This might be the most underrated pillar of goal design.
I think it is. We design these beautiful, perfect systems that assume linear progress, and then they completely collapse the first time a real-world obstacle hits.
Perfection is impossible. Failure is guaranteed, so we have to plan for it.
We have to perform a pre-mortem on the system. So instead of waiting for failure and reacting emotionally, you define the specific recovery protocol for known problems in advance.
What happens when your editor takes a long holiday? When you get sick for 3 days? When excessive travel demands disrupt your routine?
The failure is not the problem. The failure is not having a low-friction protocol for recovery. If you miss a chapter in your learning system due to illness, the protocol should state, I will cover the missing material, and only that material, during my reserved weekend study block.
No guilt, no panic, just execute the plan.
Exactly. If you miss 3 days of your workout because of an unexpected business trip, the protocol must be ready. It should state, upon immediate return, I will start again with the minimum action from Pillar 2 for 2 days to regain momentum and then resume the full system.
Let's use the example of an entrepreneur trying to maintain a content creation system, like a weekly blog or Instagram. Their system structure is clear. The safety net addresses the external threats.
So, if my editor is sick, I will revert to posting only a single pre-written quote post using my minimum 10-minute action block.
Or If a massive business crisis pulls my time away for a week, I will pre-schedule 3 minimum viable content pieces before the crisis hits to maintain the chain, even if the quality is a little bit lower.
This pillar ensures that when an obstacle arises, which it always will, your system has a defined, low-friction, non-emotional way to restart or sustain the minimum necessary action.
You don't scrap the entire vehicle. You have a documented repair protocol that just keeps the wheels turning. You are designing systems for humans who will fail, not for robots who won't.
By implementing the identity shift, structuring your wish into a clear map, and securing these 4 pillars, trigger engineering, action minimization, instant reward loop, and the failure-proof safety net, you entirely move away from relying on fragile willpower. You begin achieving your biggest objectives using the immense automated power of subconscious systems.
This has been an incredibly powerful deep dive into the mechanics of lasting change. We began with that painful annual cycle of regret and discovered that the root cause isn't a lack of effort, but a fundamental failure to design the right vehicle for our goals.
We established that systems, the automated mechanisms like the Iron Man suit or the Facebook algorithm, are the true engines of progress.
And we meticulously analyzed the 2 psychological pitfalls that sabotage us. The hype drop, where novelty fades and sustained effort kills the initial dopamine reward.
And sonic happiness, a modern trap that reinforces our brain's preference for instant, temporary gratification over delayed, strategic results.
But most importantly, we learned the path to engineering success. The identity shift to define who you must become, the structure to define what specific steps you must take, and the 4 pillars that make consistency automatic.
We learned to use triggers to start automatically, minimizing action to ensure the chain never breaks, installing an instant reward loop to hack the brain's preference for quick dopamine,
and planning for guaranteed failure with a ready-made safety net.
The overarching goal here is the transfer of these complex, effort-intensive actions from your fickle conscious mind into a reliable, powerful subconscious imprint. This allows your personal growth and professional progress to run on its own default operating system.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? You now possess the blueprint. You face a critical decision. Do you want to continue chasing your biggest goals using the fragile, exhausting power of motivation, just hoping discipline shows up every morning?
Or are you ready to design a reliable, automated system, the exact methodology employed by high achievers and massive institutions that will automatically guide you toward achievement, even on your worst day?
The true power to fundamentally change your life, your career, and your relationship starts not with setting a wish, but with the decision to design your system.
That choice is yours. And the moment you implement your first trigger and stack it onto an existing habit, you have already started the journey toward mastery.
Now go build your suit.